Hey, it looks like I'm live. What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Guys, girls, whatever, it doesn't matter. Hopefully you're all well and having a good day. It's Mondays, and that is, guess what? Crappy Mondays is back, at least this week anyway, huh? So I kind of wanted to talk about some stuff. There's multiple things to talk about. Again, sometimes I like to vent. Sometimes I'll vent in a video. Sometimes I'll vent on social media. But at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where I like to kind of give my opinions and things like that. Yes, I'm going to be back to podcasting at some point soon. Just got to take care of some things first, some health issues and stuff like that, and some other things. But it's going to be a good time, I can tell you that much. And I do appreciate you guys coming out and checking out this live stream. And if you guys come in, please hit the like button. I would appreciate that as well. It's a little bit later than I normally would like to do this, but at the same time, you know what? Who cares, right? I can sit here and do this video and talk about this stuff. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. I see a lot of people in the chat. And again, what's up, Low End? I appreciate it, man. I'm glad everybody's here for Crappy Mondays. And listen, I get that there's multiple kind of sides to this kind of stuff, right? But the funniest part to, and I want to get into, guess what? There's different things as far as I can tell where, depending on which side you prefer, right? Xbox or PlayStation, you're going to come up with an excuse one way or the other. Okay. If you're a PlayStation person, you like that there's going to be exclusives on the PS5. Personally, as a gamer, not even as a fanboy, but as a gamer, I love that there's going to be stuff on the PS5. Not all stuff, but there's going to be some stuff on there that really showcases what the PS5 can do, and it's really helping to kind of get that understanding that, hey, I'm going to play something that's next generation and that can't be played on the current gen consoles, right? This was my kind of thing all along, and I've done some videos and kind of talked about it a little bit. That would be that's something that I think a lot of people are kind of talking about. What's up, Biggie? I appreciate you coming out. Enrico, I appreciate you too, bro. So again, well, listen, Crapgamer is not so much cares about likes, but if you didn't know anything about YouTube, right? Most YouTubers will ask you to hit the like button or whatever. It helps out, helps the channel to get seen, and it also helps with channel growth and stuff like that. So that's something that you kind of have to kind of keep in mind and stuff like that. Just to kind of point that out or whatever, So anyway, Microsoft confirmed that the Xbox Series X, which is their new supposed, this is the thing I don't understand. They're we're ending generations, so they're not going to do that anymore. But then they're coming out with a next gen console. At least they're kind of marketing in that way. And then they're saying, well, it's not going to play anything that that's not going to be available on the older stuff. So this is my initial reaction, okay? My initial reaction to this was, I don't believe it, okay? And this is the reason why I don't believe it. The reason why I don't believe it is the launch Xbox One in 2013 will have to be supported into 2022, right? The launch Xbox One was severely underpowered. Yeah, we got to play some games, but if you guys remember, it had problems playing current-gen games. It had problems with the Minecraft Super Duper Pack. It's one of the reasons why that got canceled. Halo Reach was delayed because they had problems with the memory. Think about what this thing's running. A Jaguar Core CPU, which John Linneman of Digital Foundry fame, and he even said they can't practice with the Jaguar Core on PC because nothing runs. So again, people are going to talk about stuff like scalability. Probably some pro Xbox YouTubers will talk about, well, if you put a GTX blah, 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 you can still play it. It's called PC. Well, this is a completely different scenario because PCs usually have minimum memory requirements and things like that. You have to remember that the Xbox Series X is running GDDR6 and a Zen 2 CPU, and then you have the launch Xbox One, which is running a really bad Jaguar CPU, and it has 6 gigs of GDDR3 really slow moving memory. Not only is it slow moving, but think about this: the amount of memory that the original Xbox One has for gaming purposes, I believe, is 4.5 gigs. So the Xbox Series X has 12 gigs of memory for games themselves, which is great, right? When you think about all the stuff and all the bandwidth per second. What is it, 500 and something millisecond bandwidth per second. The Xbox One launch edition has 68.3 milliseconds of bandwidth. That, like, the Xbox Series X has 500 something millisecond, more bandwidth in the memory alone. Like, you have to think about this. Anybody that's going to make a game for the Xbox Series X has to keep in mind the limitations of the launch Xbox One. Even in 2020, you have to think, well, I have to make sure that this game runs. Now think about it. How many games ran at like 782p or 720p? It's a very, very big problem. More so than just the like T-flops problems or things like that. I don't think that stuff matters nearly as much. But it's just one of those things where how can people really claim to be so intelligent and, hey, we're super smart and we know this and this and this, but at the same time, you kind of look at them and you go, well, how do you not know that there's going to be a huge differential here in the launch Xbox One? Like, how is that thing still going to get supported all these years later? I don't understand it. I just really, really don't understand it. And if you guys are here, please hit the like button and share it out. I do the crappy monies. I'll answer some questions and stuff like that. But I wanted to make sure and sort of make sure that I wanted to talk about some of this stuff, including this big PlayStation thing. Apparently, there's going to be a month of PlayStation celebration capped off with a PS5 reveal event in February, which sounds absolutely incredible. Again, this is stuff that I think is really cool. It gets people talking about PlayStation. I want to talk about this because John Linneman from Digital Foundry has been talking an awful lot about, the whole thing with like the launch exclusives and stuff like that, and the non-backward or the non-exclusives and stuff like that. So if you guys didn't know, this guy is like a pretty damn good tech guy or whatever for Digital Foundry. I'm sure if you're an Xbox supporter, you're of the mindset of you're of the mindset that this guy probably is paid by Sony or something. You know what I mean? It's not the case, of course, but that's probably what a lot of people think, simply because he said what he said and people are sort of upset about it. So this is what he had to say, and this guy is at Digital Foundry. His whole idea, his whole job is to sort of run down tech and know about this stuff. Now, the thing that I thought was funny was I posted a tweet yesterday with his quotes about how he wasn't in favor of the forward compatibility stuff, and you could just see that some of the like pro Xbox people were really kind of scrambling for some kind of damage control, some kind of way to do it, and most of them were common thing to say was, well, when's the last time he made a game? And that's so easy to turn around, because when is the last time these Xbox fanboys who run these podcasts and these shows, when's the last time they made a game? You know what I mean? Like, what makes them know more than this guy who that's his job? And again, I always state that none of these people on these podcasts or these shows that make videos know anything more than anybody else. And so it was really kind of funny to see this. And John Linneman says, I'm not really fully on board with this myself. The extremely underpowered CPUs in last-gen consoles can have ramifications on design. More importantly, games that did appear on Xbox 360 and X1 required separate teams with their own budgets. Titanfall 360 was a huge undertaking, for instance. What Microsoft is proposing here is removed from that. The game would need to be fully scalable, and that means certain design decisions will need to be made that take older hardware into account. There won't necessarily be a separate port studio doing it this time. And this is exactly what I pointed out. When I bought an Xbox One, what's up TLR9, what's up everybody? When I bought an Xbox One, the reason why I bought an Xbox One was because Killer Instinct, Dead Rising 3, Rise, Forza Motorsport 5, these games, Quantum Break got shown off, Sunset Overdrive, these games were coming to Xbox One, not Xbox 360. If they were coming to Xbox 360, I would have just kept my Xbox 360, right? Like, to me, next gen means you pop in that graphical showcase and you really are impressed by what you see, and you're like, oh, that's why I upgraded. So for me personally, and I know this people look like pretend like I'm trolling or something, but the Xbox Series X, isn't it just another current gen upgrade? It's literally not playing anything next gen. It's not playing anything that's not available on current gen stuff. You could break out a 2013 Xbox One a Fat with a Kinect, and you can play Halo Infinite. You can play all the stuff that the Xbox Series X is playing. How is that next gen? You have to keep the design constraints in mind when building that game. It absolutely makes no sense. It absolutely makes zero sense. And I don't understand what Microsoft is thinking by doing this, you know? What's up, Rich? He says, these Xbox fanboys are really making it looking like everything is scalable. It isn't like that. I hope they wake up. Well, they have to. You know, there's big business in trying to keep a lot of these Xbox, and not all of them, but there is big business and big money in trying to keep a lot of these Xbox fanboys happy and appeased and feel like, you know, they made the right choices and stuff like that. So, as you guys can imagine, there was a lot of Xbox fanboys that were kind of on John Linneman's case, right? And like trying to bust this guy, right? Oh my gosh, you're gonna bust him because, you know, because he, you know, they want to prove him wrong. So this is more of what he said. He says, it just feels like everyone has forgotten the thrill of a console launch. The same but more isn't exciting to me personally. It's sad that we'll likely never have a Mario 64 or Halo moment going forward. It's over. And I kind of agree with that, right? Unless you're PlayStation 5, which is going to have some exclusives. So we know that it's going to have some exclusives. This is what he said. He said, man, what people expect from a new console launch has never been less exciting. It's clear the industry is just in such a different place. We'll never have another Ridge Racer, Mario 64, or Halo moment. It's unreasonable to expect it. It's just where we're at. Games are a mature medium now, so I don't expect these types of breakthrough experiences, but I sure do miss experiencing something so radically different and new at launch. Again, I tend to agree with that because I think that it's, you know, very, very prudent to kind of what's going on right now. And, you know, and he's very honest about this stuff. So you got to kind of just say, hey, man, props to him for coming out there and realistically just sort of saying it. And this was what somebody said to him on Twitter. As you guys come in, please hit the like button, share out the video. I would appreciate it. Somebody asked John this. They said, considering that Microsoft develops games for PC of different configurations, and the same can be said for third-party publishers, what does this really change or matter? I honestly don't think the developers are waiting for Microsoft to fully jump on next gen to evolve game design. And John said this, no PC is using an AMD Jaguar. We've tried. It's unusable. That's the real heart of the issue for me. Requirements shouldn't stagnate on the PC either. For me, targeting an original Xbox One just isn't interesting at this point. So he's 100% right. He's 100% right. Tokyo Maestro says, so crap, you're saying that Sony will have games in the first 2 years that are impossible to run on PS4. Well, they're going to be PS5 only. They will have some cross-gen stuff, but they're going to have PS5 only games as well, which I think is very, 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 very smart. Rock Dog says, Microsoft is trying to get rid of you and it's working. Hey, Rock Dog, they already lost 50+ million console people from Xbox 360 to Xbox One. I don't think they're just trying to get rid of me. I think they're trying to get rid of a bunch of people, you know, and if you're okay with that, hey, that's fine. But I got to tell you, seeing where Microsoft came from, man, they were this great company, hardcore gamers and all this kind of stuff. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see just what they end up with next gen, because if you can go into a store and go, okay, well, what's the difference between an Xbox One X and an Xbox Series X? There's no difference. Well, one of them has an 8K stamp and one of them has a 4K stamp, and they both play the same exact games. So what's the difference? They're just the same generation consoles. There's literally, like, Microsoft did it, those crazy SOBs. They created the same thing. It's like, I've never seen anything like that before. How can they have, and think about this. I just want everybody to think about it because it sounds funnier when you say it out loud. Okay? This generation started in 2013. We're in 2020. We've had the Xbox One Fat, the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, the Xbox One SAD, the Xbox Series X, and most likely the Xbox Series S, which will be Lockhart. That's 6 different consoles in a span of 7 years, or not even 7 years. Like, you do the math on that, right? And I can tell you this. I asked this question yesterday, okay? What happens? So they're saying there's not going to be exclusives that aren't on current gen hardware for 2 years. And what happens in that third year if 8K starts to hit big and they come out with a mid-gen refresh? Okay, so they're going to come out with another new console, right, in 2023. So basically, all these consoles continue to be held back. It's just like continual loop of everything, right? And let me just point this out real quick. I saw somebody mention the Don. Listen, I've got respect for the guy, but I've talked to developers too, and they've also said that it's very difficult when you're trying to make something that's going to take advantage of next-gen hardware, when you have to keep in mind these things all have to play on old-ass hardware from 2013. So world size, AI, all this kind of stuff. Listen, I'm sure that games and graphics and resolution and stuff are going to be great on the Xbox Series X, right? That's what you're going to get. But you're not going to get that big evolution with those much larger worlds and sophisticated AI and more people, because there's no way to tune that stuff on a console. So it has to run on the Xbox One from 2013. That's the thing you guys don't understand. That thing's not even in production anymore. It hasn't been for years and years, but it still has to run on there. And what happens if something, somehow, some way, a game doesn't run on that, right? Well, guess what happens? They have to delay the game, because rather than give the game to people that own an Xbox Series X or an Xbox One X or whatever, they're going to have to delay the game. Rich says, I think you've seen my tweets about it on Twitter. I'm just Gamer LED, that guy on Twitter. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was you, to be honest, but yeah, I see your stuff all the time. Enrico says, you should think Microsoft would want to jump in the next gen and have a fresh start, but no, they want to stretch out the misery. Yeah, how long does this generation have to last, folks? 2013 to 2022 with Xbox this and Series X and refresh this and refresh that. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand it. Rock Dog says, the one, I'll keep saying you have not seen it yet, but it's dead already. Listen, if the games, what makes this a next-gen console, the Series X, if it can't play next-gen games, right? I understand some third party are going to support cross-gen. Sony's going to support some cross-gen. They did last gen. Okay, think about it. Little Big Planet 3 was a cross-gen title. Okay? What I'm saying is, Sony's not taking into consideration, hey, this game's got to work on a PS4 as well. You know what I mean? That's the big difference. Microsoft, third parties, everybody are dictated and mandated, you've got to be able to play this game on a launch Xbox One. So they can sit there and go, well, we're really developing and doing a good job on Halo Infinite. Were you guys impressed with the Halo Infinite trailer we saw at last E3? Because I sure as heck wasn't. I didn't think that looked good at all. I just, to me, it looks more cartoony Halo 2. It looks like a cartoony version of Halo 2. So I wasn't impressed with what we saw, considering that's supposed to be like Scarlet specs or whatever. I just didn't really find that to be the case. And this situation with the Jaguar cores and the lack of memory and the slow memory, how the heck does people think that's not going to hold you back? Do they not understand that this isn't like a separate team that's making this stuff? It just has to run, and there is no more UWP. It means that developers really have to be careful. So not only does this affect Xbox, but it could potentially affect PlayStation, or in a positive way, it could help PlayStation 5. And let me explain why. It could hurt PlayStation 5 if developers just decide to scale back their games, right? So that they can run on Xbox One X. And I'm talking about third-party stuff. So think about it this way. Let's say Ubisoft is trying to make this hugely ambitious game, but they're like, damn it, we can't really take advantage of it because we got to get it to run on the Xbox as well. And if we get it to run on Xbox, we have to get it to run on that 2013 junk, right? So that's going to mean that they scale back everything to get it to run on that. Now, think about this. Conversely, it could work out good for PlayStation 5, and here's how. The developer goes, screw that, screw Microsoft. We're just going to make this a PlayStation PC exclusive because, we want to stay true to our vision, and, and our vision is, being able to do what we want and not be held back. So, and the funny part for me is, and please hit the like button. Let's get up over 100 likes. The funny part for me is, there's that same energy that everybody talks about. That same energy. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. Where's that same energy when this generation started? Like, nobody was going, dang it, I can't play Killer Instinct on my 360. I can't play, this on my on this. I I don't get it. I don't get it. I think that it's kind of ridiculous that everybody is suddenly it's anti-consumer. It's anti-consumer. How is it anti-consumer to give somebody something special for their console? It's like those people that say exclusives are anti-consumer. How is it anti-consumer to give somebody something special for that piece of hardware that they bought, right? For me personally, I don't see it, I don't see it. Xbox One says Halo Infinite looked great. I'm telling you, man, I watched that cutscene must be 10 times. It does not look next generation to me at all. Absolutely not. Nine Live says this is mostly a business decision. They don't want to abandon 50 million consoles. I mean, it could be, but you don't know. Xbox One says, crap, here's a real question. Do you expect God of War 2, Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn in the next 2 years? I expect some of that in the next 2 years for sure. I think that we're going to see some of that stuff at their event show. Sony's not going to do E3, you guys. They're going to do their own thing, which is very smart. They're going to really, I think, knock it out of the park by doing their own thing. And that's going to be something that I look forward to seeing, right? Like, I want to see Spider-Man 2. I want to see God of War. You got to remember, how long is it going to take? I think God of War might have took 4 years. Well, you have a lot of the assets there. You have things there ready to go. That world, some of that stuff, you can add polygons, you can change stuff up. So you have a lot of that stuff there, okay? The only thing that it's not going to take as long to make, it's not going to take as long to make a sequel is what I'm saying. So if you look at Spider-Man, for instance, okay? Spider-Man was partially able to create, and you can read, there's different interviews with Insomniac Games that mention this, okay? That thanks to Sunset Overdrive being built, which Sunset Overdrive came out in 2014, and Spider-Man came out in 2018. So that only took 4 years. They already have that world built and the engine and all that kind of stuff. I can imagine that they can launch a Spider-Man 2 in 2021, right? Like, that would be fantastic. I don't see why they couldn't do that. Like, Gears launched in a 3-year time span, right? Honestly, I don't see why they couldn't do that. I'm not saying rush the stuff, but yes, I do think that we're going to see a Horizon Zero Dawn, which, think about this. Horizon Zero Dawn launched early 2017. We're already 3 years after that. But that game was originally supposed to come out in 2016. So almost 4 years already have passed since that game was originally supposed to launch. And I think that game could part 2 could be a launch game or a launch window game. And that wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think that's going to be fantastic. On Microsoft's side, I think that we're going to have, the Halo. But again, look, unequivocally, just so everybody hears me now, get your tape recorders out. Crapgamer is not buying an Xbox Series X at launch. There is zero reason to buy an Xbox Series X. For me personally, if you want to, whatever, talk yourself into it, that's fine. I understand it. But for me personally, another current-gen console only playing current-gen games isn't on my to-do list for think of the price tag of this thing. What if this thing's $600? Talk yourself into buying that and tell me I'm wrong. It's not going to play anything next-gen. We're already supposedly playing 4K stuff with the Series X. It's going to play Halo Infinite at 60 frames, probably at 1400p, maybe upscaled to 4K as it is. Do we really need another $600 console to play 4K 60 because it's going to have some extra dust in it? Honestly, is that what it, like, does that excite you? To me, it doesn't, man. When I played Rise, Son of Rome for the first time, you know what I said? Holy cow. Those are the best graphics I've ever seen. When I played, the game wasn't great, but still, graphically, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that game that sets it off like nothing else. When I played, The Order 1886, bad game, but graphically, you're like, damn, this couldn't have been done last generation, right? That's that feeling that you want to get. And Microsoft has stripped that away from everybody because they're greedy and they want everybody to, play the game and not leave any gamer behind and blah, blah, blah. That's the way it always has been. Those are the breaks, folks. They have different programs set up. You can rent to own an Xbox. Like, literally, there's tons of ways to get an Xbox and to play Xbox. And to me, they're really kind of screwing you guys because a lot of you are looking for like this whole, well, scalability and all, like you're looking for excuses. That's basically what you're doing. You're looking for an excuse, like instead of looking at the facts. You don't even got to be a tech guy to know that you have to build a game that's going to run on a launch Xbox One. Why not just build a game that's going to run on a Dreamcast too, folks, while we're at it, right? Like it just surprises me that I'm just like this idiot kind of guy, right? And I have more knowledge and I know what's going on more so than a lot of these supposed tech guys for these podcasts, right? Like anybody that that damage controls this, man. I don't get it. You know, I just don't get it. You know, for me personally. Hold on. Crapgamer is saying Xbox Series X will be held back by Xbox One. PC games were held back by console ports. Yeah, like, look, PC gets held back. That's true. But imagine, but even this, when people bring up the PC, when people bring up the PC discussion, right? And you'll see this, right? And this is, again, open invitation. Any of these Xbox podcasts want to bring me on, I'll destroy any of their arguments and make them look foolish and probably take a lot of their fans with me. But that's why I don't get any invites, by the way. But anyway, anybody that brings up the PC argument, again, they're forgetting they're just bringing up like the GPUs and the CPU, you know, they're bringing up the GPUs, right? Well, you can do this and this. It's like, but you have the ability with your PC to turn things down, which you don't have on consoles. Also, like I said, the CPU, which has been a bottleneck this entire generation, is still a bottleneck. How is it not a bottleneck when you still got to design games around it, right? I get it that frames per second will probably be doubled on a lot of games, but a lot of games are 60 frames that we were playing anyway. You know, the Halos, the Gears, you know, the multiplayers were 60 frames either way, even on the launch Xbox One. So just certain things took it. But for me, it's like you'll hear people bring up the PC like they're experts, but at the end of the day, you still have to keep those constraints in mind, because if it doesn't run on there, then you're not going to be able to come out with your game. And that's going to be exactly, forward compatibility is worth it. Now, take heart a little bit, as you know, we almost have 300 people here just on a random crappy Monday out of the blue. Please hit the like button. Let's get up over 100 likes. I would appreciate it. This is the way I think about it. I think that these exclusives that Microsoft have, I don't see why so many people are disliking this video. Like, I've not said anything wrong. I'm just giving my opinion on this subject and telling you the opinion of a tech person who does this for a living. But anyway, for me personally, I don't think Microsoft is going to have a ton in the first 2 years anyway, so it might be a little bit of a moot point. And what I mean by that is another Halo, another Forza, and I think that might be all they have. If you look at Hellblade 2, super early in development. But if you look at a screenshot of Hellblade 2 in engine, that looks much, much better than what we've seen with Halo Infinite, anything we've seen. Because Hellblade 2, I believe, is going to be a game that's just for next gen, whereas Halo Infinite has to run on all this other crap. So for me personally, I'm just saying, you know, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me as a fan as to why, why we can't get exclusive games, at least something, a showpiece or two. And I can even understand Halo, right? Halo's a big thing they want to make, but why not have something in advance that you knew that was going to really showcase what you were going to do? So, you know, we're going to get another Forza Motorsport, we're going to get another Halo, but in the first 2 years, I think that's almost all we're going to get as far as AAAs, and then I think we're going to get some of those like AAs and little like crummy, you know, Battletoads-esque type of games or whatever. I think we'll see plenty of those, but I do think that we're going to have, a couple of year wait, and that's probably more or less why they're going to do this, right? I don't know if it has so much to do with, we no gamer left behind. I'm not sure if it's no gamer left behind or if it's realistically they don't have much that can't be played on those type of games anyway. So that's going to be very interesting. Yeah, listen, Xbox fans really, really struggling with this, you know. Joe says Microsoft Flight Sim, the whole world in 4K. Okay. I don't recall any Xbox owners, like console owners that really care about a flight simulator. It's really like a teaching tool or whatever. I guess they're going to put it in classrooms or something. But for me personally, I just feel like that's not a big game. Like when I saw that at E3, I really thought those were like next-gen graphics for a next-gen game, like a real game. It's like, isn't that the way it goes, though? Like, I remember in 2017, they showed Forza Motorsport 7 running on an Xbox One X, right? And they showed, like, it looked like some kind of world or something. It wasn't, you didn't know it was a racing game for the first, like, 15 seconds. Everybody's like, what is this? What is this? It looks so great. And then it's just another Forza. Like, people are dying for, like, something absolutely amazing, you know? What's up, Eddie? How's it going, bro? What's up, everybody? Thanks, Fran, for liking the video. Everybody else. Monty Billingsley says, hey, Crapgamer, stop. I'm not hyping up Xbox. Listen, if there's something good, right? Like, I saw that demo that could be Xbox One Series X. Those look great. But, again, great current gen graphics don't really impress me, and isn't a reason for me to buy that. So, you know, it's really just something that I don't understand that. You know, I don't understand it at all. You know, if you look at the games that Sony has coming out this generation, still, even for the PS4, they've got, you know, great stuff. You know, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I know it's exclusive for a year, and, you know, and I think that's great. I just feel like, you know, what Sony is doing is they're better playing off of what they do best. And I'm really kind of interested to see how they do this, like, next gen. You know what I mean? Like, how are they gonna? I'm interested to see how they handle this, because if you guys didn't know, and this just came out today, and I'll read this to you real quick. Here we go. Let's see. Sony's kicking off a quote-unquote month-long experience PlayStation event at Sony Square in New York City tomorrow. It ends next month when a rumored PlayStation meeting might take place to reveal the PS5, and they send out invites or whatever. January 14th to February 16th, celebrate 25 years of play with a collection of titles on PS4 and PSVR. So that might mean February 16th or 17th would be a day of... they actually show off and reveal the PlayStation 5. And it also came out today that Sony is expected to make an announcement that they're not going to be at E3 this year. Now, I'll be honest. Having Sony not be at E3 sucks, right? It sucks. It sucks for E3 because it makes E3 less fun. Microsoft isn't great at E3. Okay, like their E3s kind of suck. Okay, now with that being said, like I always like that back and forth where people were excited and it gets fans happy and stuff like that. Oh, hey, like here's Microsoft's E3. Who won E3? You know, like that stuff is fun. Now, here's what I do think. I do think that, you know, that Microsoft is that Sony's going to have some kind of event. That's obvious. They're going to have some kind of event. Edgar says, crap, why are you so salty? If you don't like it, don't buy it, plain and simple. Dude, that's the plan. I'm not going to buy it, but the fact of the matter is, it's a current-gen console. I still have a current-gen Xbox One X, so as long as that's the problem, then I'm going to talk about it. Also, this is a gaming channel, and I do gaming social media, so I'm going to talk about the stuff that excites me, the stuff that ticks me off. That just kind of comes with the territory, you know what I mean? It's like, I understand if you're not happy about it, but most people, when they say stuff like that, Edgar, equals, you know, you're pissed off because I might, you know, get somebody not to buy an Xbox Series X or to think the same way I think. And you shouldn't be afraid for people to think their own thoughts when it comes to gaming, right? So many times people are afraid of that, okay? I'm not saying you have to have the same thought or anybody here has to have the same thought of me, right? But I do love open dialogue, and I do love the idea that, hey, man, some people will message me after I do one of these podcasts, right? And let me tell you this. I don't know many people that do these big solo podcasts, okay? And it's not, because it's not easy, okay? It's not easy. And most people can't carry a show themselves and talk about the subjects themselves and stuff like that like I can. And, again, like for me personally, I like the fact that, Microsoft revealed the Xbox Series X the way they did. And I knew that Halo would be cross-gen, and I'm fine with that. I was going to to tell you guys the truth, thanks to that surprise appearance at the Game Awards and Hellblade 2 and them showing games far away, I was on board, man. I was going to somehow swing the Xbox Series X and the PS5, right? So I was going to get both of these. I was going to maybe have to trade some stuff in to get both, but I was really wanting to get both. Now with this news, it's like I don't understand how that can be. I don't understand how Microsoft can really, can do that, Like, you're holding back gamers under the guise of friendly consumerism, and then you have Xbox fans chanting that, going, Sony's anti-consumer for making you buy a PS5. Are you serious? If you can just continue playing games on what you got, why are you coming out with something new to begin with? Like, please somebody tell me that in the chat. In the chat. I would love to know that. You know what I mean? Like, just let me know. I would absolutely love to know what's going on with that idea. Okay? Like, nobody can answer that. Honestly, nobody can answer that. Nobody's able to answer that. If you don't need a new piece of hardware to play the games, why are you coming out with a new piece of hardware? Huh. Has anybody thought about that? Has anybody mentioned that? We always had to upgrade because the hardware was getting old and you needed new hardware to run the things properly. So, again, if we don't need new hardware to run these games, why are we having new hardware? Which is where Sony comes into play. And I actually hope that Sony completely does what they did to Microsoft at the beginning of this generation at their event. Like, the only place to play, here, this may sound like trolling, okay? But if I were Sony, I would come at it like this. And as there's over 300 people watching, please hit the like button. If you're just joining me, thank you guys so much. Rack them up and all that kind of good stuff. I appreciate the likes and share it out on social media and hit the bell if you haven't already. But if I were Sony, you remember how they did that real schmarmy video? Here's how you trade a game or share a game. And it showed Yoshida handing Adam Boyes a game, and he takes it, and it's funny, right? It's hilarious. At the time you're like, oh man, that sucks. Those SOBs or whatever, right? Now it's funny. You can look back, and they should take advantage of that. But you got Microsoft saying, we don't even look at Sony as competition. Hooray, Sony. They're doing a great job. Like, are you serious? You don't want to look at Sony as competition? They kicked your butt again. They've kicked your butt every generation, and you're not admitting that they're competition for you? Like, what's the point? What's the point? You guys don't want my sports pick, man. My team... listen, I know a lot of people were trying to razz me about the Ravens. Whatever, man. 14-2, winning the division. They got every offensive starter under contract for years to come. It's all good, man. I've watched every single game. I've never seen them play like that. I don't know what the deal was, but hopefully they get that together for next year. I bet 9 out of 10 times they would have won. I'm not sure what happened, but we'll see. They'll be back. But, Dominic says, crappy, people saying it's stupid to buy Sony because of exclusivity, then why do people buy the iPhone every year? Well, listen, I don't know much about that, but really comparing phones to consoles was kind of stupid to me anyway. Yeah, so anyway, I think that's his name, says, so the new Halo is going to be on the OG Xbox One. Exactly my point. Exactly. Now, here's the thing. I have no problem with the Xbox One X being supported. That is quite a powerful machine. It's going to play Halo and some of this stuff at a very good graphical fidelity and frame rate and the multiplayer and all that kind of stuff. Support the X, right? That makes sense. Supporting the fat launch Xbox One, nobody can ever change my mind that that's not a terrible idea, okay? That is probably one of the worst ideas I've ever heard of in my life. Supporting that monstrosity, okay? Now, people are going to try to talk you into thinking it's a good idea, right? And I just think that it's not a very smart idea. Again, you just have to look at people that are in the know that actually deal with this stuff, okay? You can even find articles where people are like, well, we didn't do much on the Xbox One X version, you know, because we have to keep in mind that we still have to ship on the Xbox One. And that's 100% accurate, man. These people do have to ship on the Xbox One. So, you know, it's just one of those things where I really do hope that people realize what they're getting into. They're cheering for something that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, there's also this article that I was reading, okay? And I'll read a little bit of it to you. It says, you can't scale the physics written for a better CPU from the ground up. Either you water the whole engine to match the lowest CPU because crossplay parity, or you create two radically different versions. And this is not an option. Microsoft's own Forza series will suffer among the first because of this decision. Actually, I would even argue and say that despite the stellar visuals, car physics this gen hardly progressed both in GT or Forza Motorsport, because when you compare them, the CPU-heavy AC compressions, IR racing, or Factor 2 Jaguar is the limiting factor even now. So remember, Dead Rising 3, a launch game for the Xbox One, was running at like 720p and even dipped below HD. That's a bit of a problem. So you had these games that were dipping below HD. The frame rates were bad. They're not running good, right? And that's with current gen stuff. And supposedly next gen is going to be better. That's why I say that the Xbox Series X is legitimately, at least for a couple of years, just another current gen upgrade. And they want you to buy it. I understand the option, oh, you don't even have to. That's my point. Like, you should have to. I'm not saying every game should have to be exclusive on there or whatever, but the cross-gen stuff is, you know, should be like the little indie AA stuff. Okay, like a good cross-gen game would be something like Bleeding Edge, you know, cartoony, or Battletoads, you know, Ori 2, like these cartoony type games where realistically you can play them on the old hardware. Stuff like Halo should be maxed out balls to the wall. You know, like that's the stuff that really should take advantage of what these consoles should offer. And the fact that Sony is going to have, like, look at Godfall. It's not a first party game. It's a console exclusive or whatever. But I think the fact that it's a PS5 only game, you know, it's like a next gen only game, and it's on PC, which, you know, again, they have minimum specifications on PC. That's something that a lot of people fail to keep on mentioning. When I see people bring up the PC argument, it's like you have these games that are, you know, next gen only or whatever, and those tend to be a little bit more impressive. Now, I know some people like to make it out like a lot of these games look impressive. I wasn't impressed with what I saw in Halo. Originally, not last E3, but the E3 before that, when they showed that engine and what Halo could look like, and it looked like it might be like a more open world Halo with different animals all around. I thought that looked really cool. And then what we get this past E3 was, you know, another Master Chief and a small spaceship. You know, hey, I'm Master Chief, and here's a little cutscene. You know, and our animations look janky. So yeah, I wasn't really impressed with it. The Rock Solid Gaming says, well, I'm just saying, if PlayStation 5 and Xbox One X not coming to E3, maybe there will be E3 2021. Maybe, but I'm not really sure. Oh, Snake says, I'll ask you this, though. When's the last time you were excited about gaming, or what game have you played that got you long-lasting enjoyment out of? Because I don't see you happy about games. Well, it depends, man. I enjoyed Death Stranding. You know, I enjoyed Death Stranding. I'm trying to think. Hold on. I'm still enjoying, like, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I'm enjoying VR a lot. I'm looking forward to some stuff that's coming out this year, obviously, like The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. And maybe I'll play Final Fantasy VII for the first time. You know? So, Monty says, who wins tonight, LSU or Clemson? I believe it isn't. LSU will probably win that, right? I mean, that guy, Burrow, whatever, that quarterback. I think that guy is just really good. So I think it's going to be really good. So it really just depends, man. Look, I'll be honest and tell you that I'm a little bit disappointed in what. So the Xbox One X, for example, right? Like this is how I haven't finished the Fallen Order yet. I'll be honest with that game too. The problem that I have with Jedi Fallen Order, I like it a lot. I get really lost for long periods of time. Like I don't know which way to go, and I guess because I have a short attention span or whatever, it's just one of those things where I tend to give up after a while. So I'll be like, oh, well, where do I go? Or is it, I've already been this way 10 times, you know? And that's the point where I tend to like maybe give up on a game or something. So, you know, that's what I really kind of have a problem with. TLR9 says, did you ever dip into Outer Worlds at all? Man, I didn't even bother downloading that. I have Game Pass, but I haven't played that. To be honest with you, I downloaded some stuff off Game Pass just because I was like, what the hell? And I downloaded my friend Pedro and a couple of other things that maybe just because everybody's like, well, I always play this stuff that thanks to Game Pass that I would have never played before. And I don't see the love for that game that people like. I don't understand it. Like I was playing it and it got boring pretty quick. So, it's got some of these like smaller games, but again, Outer Worlds looks so much like Fallout to me, and Fallout I just can't stand it, So yeah, those games aren't for me. RPGs suffered tremendously this generation. I can't really, Straight Duval says Crap hasn't finished any game in quite some time. That's not true. I beat Ghostbusters Remastered, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare with Captain Stu Nuts. So yeah, that's not quite some time. I was able to do stuff. Woza says the map was awful in Fallen Order, really affected my enjoyment. Yeah, I don't understand the damn map. Like it doesn't make any sense. And I think that's a bit of a problem too. Like that can really cut into my enjoyment again. So a lot of people don't know this about me. I don't like the Elder Scrolls games, right? I hated those games until I played Skyrim, and Skyrim just made it so easy to go point A to point B or whatever. I don't like Grand Theft Auto games or those like big open world games, but I really, for the most part, but then like Mafia 2 and Mafia 3 and they really got me into that type of game because it's so easy, like point A to point B, because even though they're more open world, it's so easy to do, like, oh, click that, take me to the next thing. Like I enjoy that. Whereas when I was playing GTA 5, it's like it's almost too much, and and that's when I sort of started to have a little bit of a problem with that. So, Half Pint says Microsoft suddenly cares about not leaving Xbox One S owners behind, even though they've been abandoned and starved on new AAA IPs for 5 years. Dude, that is perfect. I love that, right? All of a sudden, Microsoft cares about the poor gamers of the world, right? Yeah, I'm sure that they do. That realistically, they don't want to push the reset button, because if they push the reset button, they know that gamers on PlayStation 4 aren't going to give up their digital libraries. You have 100 and what? By the time the PS5 launches, you're looking at maybe 115, 120 million PS4 owners in the world. So they know that those people aren't going to just abandon their digital library and, and go to Xbox. They're going to take their library with them and go to PS5, and, they're going to be happy there. Microsoft has Game Pass, which Game Pass is cool, but I don't think it's going to get people, a rental service is going to get people to give up their, Last of Us and, Uncharted and that kind of stuff to go to Xbox. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, this move by Microsoft, again, not everybody's going to be in the know super well like we are, but I think that PlayStation 5 is going to jump out to, a 15, 20 million console lead. And again, people always use words like progressive and, they're so progressive. Microsoft is so progressive and Sony's going to follow suit. I've never seen so many people damage control and go, they're going to follow Xbox's lead. Like, Xbox's lead? Man, Xbox is in last place. The Nintendo Switch just overpassed it. There's double the sales on PlayStation, more than double the sales on PlayStation 4. They 1.6 billion games, 40 million plus PlayStation Plus subscribers, 100 million monthly active users alone. Microsoft doesn't even report this stuff anymore. Sony would be foolish to copy anything Microsoft does, to be honest with you. JD Gamer says those who buy Xbox Series X 4K 60. Isn't that what we bought the Xbox One X for, though, bro, just 2 years ago? I'm confused on that point, JD. Like, again, you don't think that Halo Infinite is going to be 60 frames on the One X? Man, of course it is. G Hole says, crap, I thought the xCloud was going to give us next-gen capabilities on our current-gen consoles. Dude, xCloud is a joke. It's 720p on the phone, and nobody's even talking about it using it. It's so laggy, Like, I never seen anything like it. I know people try to hype it up, the stands and stuff, the Xbox stands. They're like, my gosh, it's so amazing. And then, they do that. They try it the one time or whatever, and then they never go back and use it again. So, again, Joshua No says, crap, you got hyped all over a PS5 logo. Dude, I don't care about the logo, man. We knew that the logo was coming. We knew. I liked that it showed how brash Sony was. They're taking on Microsoft. You got Microsoft going, we don't want to take on Sony. They're great. And then you got Sony going, hey, bring it on, Microsoft. Let's see what you got. There is no way that Sony, the company that doesn't have nearly the amount of money or clout that Microsoft has, should be able to just slap the taste out of Microsoft's mouth so consistently. So consistently. And Microsoft's putting all their chips into this cloud streaming stuff. I just don't see how I don't see how people can like, I used to look at Sony as the bad guys, right? But the closer I got to this now, right, and I see what Sony does and Nintendo does and what Microsoft does. Microsoft are really corporation. They're faceless corporation that's really kind of selling out the games that were good at a time, because Xbox was run by people that were gamers and stuff, right? So if you look at just look at Halo and Gears, for example, right? Those games made by Bungie and Epic on the 360 were amazing. Okay? They had souls to them. They had soul. If you look at the versions we got this generation, there's like no soul there. It's like corporate soul or something. It's like everything that made those games great got stripped away in favor of monetization with, I don't know. JD Gamer, I can tell you this right now, dude. If you think the Xbox One X isn't going to do 60 frames on Halo, you're wrong. It's going to be 60 frames. They're not, maybe not the single player, but I can guarantee you that the multiplayer is going to be 60 frames on the One X, bro. Like, you got to get that out of your mind. Let's see. Marvin says, I thought Xbox were going up for next gen. You tell me that they're still focused on current gen for the next 2 years. Yes, and I linked that article in the description. Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, has confirmed that they aren't going to be able to, they're going to have all games for the next couple of years from Microsoft Game Studios or Xbox Game Studios playable even on the launch Xbox One. Even on the launch Xbox One. So, yeah, that holds things back. Art says, Xbox is so irrelevant in the gaming space, it's now for the mobile gamers audience. I agree. They really like that mobile games audience. Reaper says, Microsoft wants to destroy game discs. Basically, I'd rather have physical copies of my games. Yeah, I hear some places in Canada aren't even selling game discs anymore. So, yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see how that sort of plays out for next generation and what they're going to be able to do. Francisco says, how about those Ravens? I don't know. How about your sports team, man? How'd they do in the playoffs? Probably didn't even make it. You're probably a Cowboys fan or something. Yeehaw! My team, young, up and coming, back-to-back playoff appearances. I like being just in the hunt. You know what I predicted for my team this year? 10-6. And a first-round loss in the playoffs. So we're all good, man. Once they get that down, they'll be good. The Gaming Circle says, have you got Stadia yet? Hell no. Listen, I'll tell you, Stadia is the deadest thing that I've ever seen in gaming. It reminds me of the Ouya. You heard about Ouya way more than Stadia. And I got offered free buddy codes from Stadia from 3 different people and turned them down 3 different times. I literally have no interest. It's a waste to me. I'm like, listen, I couldn't even run that stuff. So, yeah, you know, I'm just saying. Like, it'd be a waste to me. I ran xCloud because I got into that beta and it doesn't cost anything. So I ran that, and it was like looking at a flip book on my phone. It was pretty bad. So, yeah, I don't have any high hopes for any of that game streaming stuff. I think that stuff isn't going to take off the way that these companies thought it would. And, you know, so I just think that it's going to be interesting to see if they even play that angle up. Just look, NVIDIA Shield is game streaming. That's been around. This stuff has been around for years, you guys, on live, right? On live game streaming. There's all this game streaming stuff has been around for PlayStation Now. Now, I know people will go, well, they got 1 million subscribers now. Well, you can download the PS4 games now. Like, even Netflix and these other sites, these streaming sites, are allowing you to download shows and stuff now because not everybody has the internet for this. And it taps out. Like, Netflix has 140 million subscribers, and that's a ton. But PlayStation has almost 110 million. And they're just a console. It's a specific console. So to me, I never understood the people that were like kind of saying, "Oh, well, it's a different kind of world, blah blah blah," and they expect xCloud to be some kind of savior to Xbox. And to be honest, a lot of times when people are like, "Yeah, when I'm at a doctor's appointment," it's like, how sick are these people if they're always at the doctor's? You know? Like, I do go see the doctors for something every, few months, but it's like a 10-minute thing. You're in the waiting room. Even if I were to game at a waiting room, I'm not going to want to play Gears 5 or Halo. You would just play like a little, few-minute game that's a mobile game. Like, I never understood that. JD Gamer says Halo Infinite will be dynamic 4K 60 on Xbox One X with no ray tracing. Dude, I don't really care about ray tracing and all that other kind of crap. To be honest with you, that stuff means nothing to me. It's slightly better graphics. I want bigger worlds, complex AI, stuff that there will never be on the Xbox Series X in the first 2 years because everything has to run on the launch Xbox One. That's the big problem. It's got to be compatible with that Jaguar core. There's going to be crossplay, dude. You don't think that they've got to factor in that original Xbox One? I'm not even talking about the S. That's a little bit more powerful in and of itself and doesn't have the ES RAM. I'm talking about that original Xbox One, folks. That thing's a lead weight. Hey, let's get up to over 150 likes. I would appreciate it. RTN says, I've tested Stadia. It's fine for people who don't own a capable PC or console. Yeah, Stadia's not my thing. Helvoot says, I really don't think people care about power anymore. If you want proof, all the subpar third-party ports on Switch have sold extremely well. People just want good games. I mean, you could be right, I hate that the buzzword nowadays is ray tracing. Like it's some kind of huge revelation or something. Like, listen, ray tracing is ray tracing, right? Like, most people don't even know what it is. You know how many people ask me, hey, what's ray tracing? It's like, if you got to ask, you probably don't care, to be honest with you. Shaggy Sweetness says, maybe if they focus on the Series X, we could actually have the destructive environments we were promised. Yeah, again, it's going to be just kind of a problem. Yeah, well, listen, Seth, I don't agree with you often, but he says most console gamers don't care about ray tracing either. I agree 100%. Listen, even Mikey Barra is getting a PS5 over a... he's not getting an Xbox Series X. Now, granted, he would prefer to play everything on PC, but it just goes to show you having exclusives on a specific platform does help sell that platform. And I feel like that's something that enough people aren't really kind of taking into consideration when it comes down to it. So I do hope that, I do hope that it's something that that they can change. Again, to me, I think the Xbox One X is a solid console, but I was extremely disappointed with the first-party offerings. We got a Forza and a Gears, really, that took advantage. That's it in its whole entire existence from the first party. And a lot of developers didn't really go all out like they could have, right? I get the feeling that Destiny 2, for example, could definitely have a 60 frames mode on the One X, but they didn't want to destroy the parity for the crossplay. Like, I still think that's going to be a problem. You know, most games are 60 frames multiplayer anyway. So, you know, I really do think that we're going to see a lot of games being held back still, you know, because they've got to launch it. Now, we're on the PlayStation 5 side, I don't think that's as much of an issue. TLR9 says they should launch Halo Infinite day one. Let's see. Day one, Xbox Series X exclusive. Listen, man, I bought, you know how many, I still got these games just to show you how much I like buying these exclusives, okay? I bought the day one edition Xbox One or whatever, right? I bought the day one Dead Rising, the day one Forza 5 in the Steelbook, the day one Rise Son of Rome, the day one $60 Xbox Live Gold card that got me Shadow Jago. I still got all that stuff, right? The Xbox One X launched with a Forza Motorsport game. That's it. Okay? If you want to launch new hardware, in my opinion, you've got to really launch with great, great games. Old School Gamer says, crap. I think he says racing isn't just better graphics. It's used for shadows, reflections. I mean, listen, like, what's it matter? A lot of people always kind of make fun of, oh, baked on this or baked on that. You know, I just feel like it doesn't really matter to me. Like, I've been impressed with games that looked a certain way, even on the original Xbox One. You know, some games look good, but again, so many games struggled. If you look at what was it? Like I said, Dead Rising 3 was 720p and dropped below that. Titanfall was like 782p or something. And even John Linneman from Digital Foundry said it was a huge undertaking. Blue Point Games made the Xbox 360 version, so a totally different developer. Forza Horizon 2 was a cross-gen game, but Playground Games made the Xbox One version that was totally different than the Xbox 3 or the Xbox 360 version made by Sumo Digital. And in fact, because, think about it, okay? If they had to share, right, the Xbox 360 couldn't do the weather, the rain and stuff like that the Xbox One could do. So there was none of that rainy maps and stuff like that, like there were in the version on the Xbox One. And so it was a completely different game. And that's what I'm talking about. So if you were just going to do one version, you would just had to cut out the rain for both. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's really holding people back. I don't understand the thought process behind it, or people acting like it's not a big deal. I feel like the ones trying to play that it's not a big deal are the ones that have played up Microsoft's big comeback for years and like gotten a lot of clout from that. And for me, as someone who just doesn't really give an F anymore, it kind of just says what I want. I don't understand it. I'll never be like that. So yeah, it's an interesting situation, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing. I might actually tune into some podcasts that I normally wouldn't, just to hear some of the outrageous damage control that we're going to hear from the tech people that continually be wrong, and you know they're always tend to be wrong about everything. And look, anybody can be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. Other people are wrong a lot. But anybody that claims that the Xbox Series X won't be held back at all, get out of town, man. That's just wrong. You're wrong. Well, II says, isn't this more work for devs? Yeah, they have to make sure that the games run on that Xbox One. Like, I'm sure that's going to be a lot of testing and stuff like that. So I could definitely see a problem. Like I said, this could work out well for Sony. Some developers might go, screw it, we'll just put it on PlayStation and PC. That could be a problem for Microsoft. Conversely, it could be a problem for PlayStation as well. And the reason why, and I went over this earlier as well, you have a situation where, you know, where games are going to have to work on the launch Xbox One, all the Xbox One consoles, and the PS5. So the Xbox One could potentially hold back the PS5 with multiplats. That could be a really big problem as well. So, well, like I said, I'm very much paying attention to it. I think these first launch games or whatever are something that we'll have to kind of pay attention to and just see like how big of an issue it's going to be in terms of the exclusives and resolution and what actually fits in it, because I got a feeling that the games on Xbox Series X, when they actually break down these games, they're not going to be like these huge, like, fantastical differences between that and the Xbox One X. You're going to see, like, oh, well, look here, you can see a little bit of ambient occlusion. Like, seriously, we've gotten to the point, folks, where the wheels have come off the bus, right? You're going to have people talking about oculate occlusion and look at this God ray over here. And then if you look right here, you see there's 10 extra specks of grass, you know, or here's a little, this dirt looks 3.5 times more realistic than this dirt. Like, that's what we're talking about, folks. For $500 to $600, you get an upgraded Xbox console, and right, and for what? For what? For a couple pieces of dirt? For ambient occlusion? Like, that's so stupid to me. Who cares? It's a current gen console. It's an upgraded current gen console yet again. Yet again. JD Gamer says Microsoft has said they will use 1 or 2 games to showcase and utilize all power, meaning that they'll use 2 different versions. I don't know if they're going to use 2 different versions, man. But don't you find that odd that they're like, we'll do this with 1 or 2 games? Like, what if they have 10 games, bro? Are you okay with them not utilizing it? That's him saying, in not so many words, that the old hardware will indeed hold it back, but they're going to put the extra effort in to make them as best as they can on the Xbox Series X. Doesn't that piss you off? JD, come on, man. Doesn't that tick you off? He's saying it right there. This is Matt Booty, the head of Game Studios, saying we're going to put in extra work on 1 or 2 of these games, but everything else isn't. He's basically saying everything else isn't going to get that extra work. So what's the point, JD? Honestly, what's the point? $600 for 1 or 2 games that they're going to put in extra work, but they're still going to be playable on the old stuff? Like, I don't understand it, man. Maybe explain it to me a little bit better. I would love to know. I don't get it, man. Maybe I'm too old school. Maybe I'm too old-fashioned. But the man himself says it. Oh, we're going to put it together, 1 or 2. 1 or 2. My butt, man. I want all those games to look as good as they can be. I want to be all I can be, folks. If I'm playing an Xbox Series X, man, I want everything to be absolutely amazing. It better look that much better. Because I tell you what, I've played the Xbox One X, and there's a handful of games where you can just go, oh man, they really went all out. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a good example. On the Xbox One X, 4K game, that game looks fantastic. It looks way better than the PS4 Pro version, okay? Now, the funny thing is, Rockstar, they didn't care. They give no Fs, right? They want to do their best work on the hardware that they have, and they always do that, okay? So, as far as I'm concerned, those type of devs are few and far between. Most devs, even like Ubisoft or whatever, check this out. Remember back at the E3, what was it, 2013 Watch Dogs demo on stage, looked amazing, right? Everybody's like, wow, that's next gen. And then what we got didn't look great because it had to be on the 360 and PS3 as well. And even the PC version, they locked it. They lowered the graphics settings and didn't allow you to change them because they wanted more like parity between the versions. So again, that's something that we kind of are dealing with as fans here, right? Like, I don't understand how. Hold on. Half Pint says Sony will be labeled anti-consumer when PlayStation 5 sales blow Xbox Series X out of the water because they made people buy a new console to play their bangers. I can already hear the damage control. Here's the thing. PlayStation's going to win NPD after NPD when the PS5 launches. The Xbox stands are going to be, well, Microsoft's in 3020. They don't even care about sales anymore. They're above sales. They're making so much with Game Pass. And you know what the funny thing is? If you ever bring this stuff up with an Xbox stan, which is like a fanatical fan, by the way, not all of them are like that. There's some really kick-ass Xbox fans that I like a lot and I'm friends with. But the stands are like, well, Microsoft says they're happy with their Game Pass subscriptions. Well, if you're a business, don't you say that regardless? Are you going to actually go out there and say you're unhappy with your Game Pass subscriptions? Like, of course not. You're not. Nobody's ever going to do that. You know? They're so ambiguous with what they talk about. That's the funny part to me, right? Like, PlayStation Now is only at 1 million subscribers, but at least they admit that. You know, they're like, oh, well, we have 1 million subscribers. And then you look over there at Microsoft, and when everybody asks them, well, how many, subscribers are on Game Pass? And how many are the 5 cents a day ones? How many were just $1 to upgrade for multiple years? How many are actually paying $10 a month or $15 a month? Like, people would love that breakdown, and we never really get it. Nuke San Francisco says, do you think 4K and HDR make games better? I think that the resolution, like, because I have 4K TVs, I think resolution makes games look better, but it doesn't look, Vitaly, what's up, bro? I appreciate you coming out, but I don't think it makes games better per se, but, I get the new tech stuff. Like, I like new tech, but at the same time, I'm not going to buy another. Hopefully people understand when I say this. We just bought the Xbox One X, or some of us, for $550 with the tax. 3 years later, they want us to buy another console that plays all the same games that the Xbox One X plays and nothing new, right? Everything is going to play on both of those consoles. And why? Why? That's all I'm trying to say, That's all I'm trying to say. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, and I look at what they're doing as bringing a, in my opinion anyway, this is what it seems like to me, that the Xbox Series X, at least to start with, is nothing more than a beefed up current gen console. Prove me wrong. I said that on Twitter, right? Prove me wrong. That Xbox Series X is nothing more than a current gen console, and nobody's been able to really kind of dispute that fact. And yeah, it's poking a little bit of fun, and I'm having a little bit of fun with that, but at the end of the day, like, I don't think very many people can dispute that or sort of change that, and that's okay. That's kind of my opinion. Like, it's not even next gen. This is where I kind of leave it, and I'm wrapping it up. So ask some questions in the chat, and I'll answer real quick. Everybody hit the like button. I appreciate it. Primitive Meat, what's up? Microsoft isn't in my opinion, Microsoft isn't launching a next gen console. The only console that's launching that's next gen is the PlayStation 5. So take that information with you and do with it what you will. For me personally, without there being exclusive, like, why would anybody upgrade if you can still continue to play the same exact game for years to come? It doesn't make sense. There's a flaw in there. Microsoft doesn't get it. You would think after years and years and years that they would get it, but they literally don't get it. I don't understand what they're thinking. It boggles my mind. It really does. Let's see. Well, the PS5 Pro might come out 3 years after the PS5. Yes, Wolf Saints, listen. I fully expect the PS5 Pro a few years later, right? 8K gaming is a thing, folks. These 8K TVs are going to be down to under $1,000 within the next few years. So 8K gaming is going to be a thing. The PS5 Pro will come out, possibly the Xbox Series X Pro. That's why it makes no sense to buy an Xbox X Series or Xbox Series X, because they're going to come out with a mid-gen upgrade anyway, and there's not going to be anything exclusive to the damn thing in the meantime. It's all held back. Now, the mid-gen refresh will probably only play what will be then current-gen stuff, but still, by that point, damage is done, Damage is done. Let's see. I'm going to answer a couple more questions, then I got to get the hell out of here. They don't want people who bought Xbox One X to feel like they got screwed over. Well, listen, them's the breaks, man. You know what? People went in and knew what they were doing right away. I bought an Xbox One S and knew a year later I would get an X, right? People go in. That's what happens with electronics, right? When you buy electronics, That's what happens. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, people got to keep that in mind. Though them's the breaks. So that's the way I look at it. JD says, what difference does it make what gen console is? If what gen a console is and it mattered, people would stop comparing Xbox One to Switch. These consoles are from different gens. Well, listen, to me, I always looked at the Xbox or the Wii U as a upgraded Wii. I mean, it was backwards compatible. It was basically just a stupid. It had a Wii internals in it. It was an HD Wii to me. The Switch I look at as a current gen thing. Like, to me, Nintendo's a little bit different, but you got to have exclusive experiences. You've got to have experiences that can't be done, that really showcase this thing, man. Like, the fact that you have Matt Booty himself saying, well, maybe one or two will put a little extra oomph into. He tells you right there and then, what's up, Ryzen Gamer? He tells you right then and there in his own words that, everything else is going to be pretty much parity, unless the whole idea was that they don't have more than a couple one, if you bought an, Tokyo says, if you bought an Xbox One X but aren't buying a Series X, that's laughable. I'm not sure if you're, listen, I'm not buying an Xbox Series X. Why would I? I already bought a current gen console upgrade. That's the way I look at it. What about Lockhart and its mid-gen upgrade? Dude, Lockhart is a joke. The only reason that I can legitimately think of Lockhart for being a thing, to be honest with you guys, is something tells me Xbox Series X might be $600. Okay? And Microsoft doesn't particularly care. So to Microsoft, they might go, well, we better come out with Lockhart, and that'll be the $499 console, or whatever, and then the Series X will be the $599 console. So that's the only reason why I think that Lockhart exists. So other than that, I don't understand it. Chris says, if Sony is less powerful than the X, they should have a mid-gen upgrade and get the power back. I mean, that could be the thing. Shaggy says Lockhart is Xbox One X. I don't think so. I think it's its own thing, because it's got to have it's got to have that Ryzen CPU to be cross compatible. Lone Star says, do you think Lockhart is in handheld? No. I don't think so. Oh, here we go. I'm looking forward to answering this one. Ant UK says, here we go, flip-flopping all over Sony once again. Only a few weeks ago when Series X was announced, he was all over them, then went back to Sony. Dear me, dear me. Well, if you paid attention, Ant, here's exactly the situation. I praised Microsoft for surprising people by showing off a powerful new piece of hardware. The Xbox Series X at the Game Awards was a brilliant and masterful stroke. And showing off Hellblade 2, even though it's years and years away. Great. Game looked great. It's not my cup of tea, but it really shows potential. Now, fast forward to 2 days ago, where they announced that for the first 2 years of the console's life cycle, it's not getting any exclusives that can't be done and won't be on the launch Xbox One that came out in 2013. Okay? That's a problem to me. Why upgrade? It's just another mid-gen upgrade or late-gen upgrade, in my opinion, at least for the first couple years. Nobody's going to take advantage of it at Xbox Game Studios, because you have to keep everything running on the launch Xbox as well. That's what I'm saying. So, with that being said, man, I've been here for a while, and I just wanted to kind of touch base. Please like the video, share it out. You guys rock. I do appreciate the time that you guys spend with me. Hopefully you guys can continue rocking on. Thank you, guys. Rack 'em up. Have a fantastic day. You're amazing. Peace out. Bye.